I made it to Simi Valley. Had a really, so far it's been an incredible trip. That last part was a little bit of a drive, but that's all right. And I got to tell you, that hotel I stayed in King City last night, and it was quite the flea bag. Anyway, said it came with a continental breakfast, and there was toast. Not much of a continental breakfast, as far as I'm concerned, but that's what it was. Anyway, so tonight's going to be it's going to be really cool. I get to see a friend of mine that I haven't seen since high school. Last time I saw him, we were in high school together a few years ago. Not a lot, but a few. But anyway, he's lived up here in down here in Southern California for all these years, and I'm really looking forward to picking his brain. I know he's a musician. I don't know if he made a living being a musician, but it's going to be fun to pick his brain. So looking forward to this tonight. This ought to be really, really fun. So anyway, until then. Okay, so I got to apologize because this next video that I'm posting, we did it in a restaurant, and there was a real red tent in there. And again, I'm still learning how to do this stuff, and I didn't have the right speakers, so the sound is tough. So I decided I'm not going to try to edit it. I'm going to play it its entirety. Some of it's just going to sound like it's rambling on, but interesting guy. Interesting guy. So anyway, played with Boss Skaggs with Van Morrison, toured with him for 14 years. Played with Boss Skaggs and toured with Boss Skaggs for 2 years. Taught music. Incredible. Had a music store. Anyway, you'll see. Good luck. Think about it. It's just I'll be editing it and stuff.
So when did you join the FBI?
Well, you know what? It's yeah, really.
I didn't want to say anything, but
yeah, I thought I'd get away with this, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I can hardly see what's on the menu. It's still cookies collection.
Yeah, it is pretty dark in there.
It's not much better.
They're not going to put it on the menu. They got that red writing on top of kind of almost a red.
Well, you got these darn red lights. You got that one. They can keep their intimacy.
Do you have specials tonight?
No.
Okay.
Send me them.
Okay.
Thank you.
And do you have a flashlight?
Yeah, well, actually, I couldn't have done that on my phone. I didn't take it like that.
Oh, look.
Oh, you can see it. Oh, thank you.
I know there is. Guys, enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you feel like?
You know, I was looking at the from the broiler.
Oh, there you go.
How do I have a?
I got a steak Diablo.
I was just looking at that.
Yeah.
Are you in a spicy?
Yeah. It's got. What do you say? Well, it says Diablo sauce, so I don't know what that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna have.
Yeah. Carne asada is always pretty good.
Thank you. Hi, how are you? You need something to drink?
So, yeah, so I was gonna make this trip, and I thought, you know what? My daughter came over and told me how to do a YouTube channel.
Guys, are you ready to open?
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna have these steak diablos.
Steak Diablo?
Yeah,
Corn flour tortillas?
flour.
Would you like soup or salad?
What kind of soup? is it?
Albondigas and chicken tortilla.
I'll have a salad with blue cheese.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. And for you, sir?
Number 13 with a extra chili Rihanna.
Number 13 is beef taco and enchilada.
Right.
And extra.
And I wanted to,
Okay.
yeah,
And the enchilada, cheese enchilada, is that fine?
that's fine.
Soup or salad for you, sir?
I'll have a salad, blue cheese also.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so I decided all I wanted to do, not trying to be one of them socialite people, you know.
Yeah.
I basically wanted to do this for my family, you know, and my friends, because I'm going to be seeing a lot of relatives, a lot of old
that's
friends,
cool.
and
Well, that's
stuff like
cool.
that.
That's cool.
And it's just a way for them to see it. I spent last night like 2 hours trying to edit what I put together. Didn't know what I was doing. But I finally figured
Well,
it
that's
out.
how you learn.
Yeah.
The hard way.
Yeah. So Larry said he thought your parents. Where in Oakland was your
Off
dad's
of
home?
Grand Avenue,
Grand Avenue, sure.
up by Grand Lake Theater, right across the street.
So do you know where Oscars is at?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
My ex-father-in-law owned was one of the brothers that owned Oscars.
No kidding.
Yeah, Jim. He was usually the bartender there.
Oh, that's great.
You know, but I think there were 7 brothers that had a part of that.
Yeah,
You know how that works.
my dad especially frequented there often.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, how he did. Yeah. Yeah, my first wife was Portuguese.
Okay.
And she, that just didn't work out. You know, we weren't meant to be together, you know. And when I met my wife, Lori, I mean, it was a whole other ballgame. It was like, fit like a glove.
That's
you know,
okay.
Yeah. And, so it's funny you guys were right there by Oscars.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had the two big they had the polar bear and the grizzly bears
Yep.
right in the front door.
that's right.
Yeah, that's just
I remember it well.
so you toured with Van Morrison, huh?
Yeah.
And
16 years.
for 16 years?
Yeah.
You went with Van Morrison?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So pretty much everywhere in the world. You know?
Thank you very much. That's pretty.
And people kept saying, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to eat at restaurants." And I go, "Are
No.
you kidding?" I said, "I get a home cooked meal."
Man, I'm telling you,
I never saw another.
Yeah, people. You know, it always seemed like a dream to be able to do that, but it's not. It's just like anything else. You get too old, you're on the road all the time. I moved up to Reading because I was offered a national sales manager job for a spa manufacturer.
Wow, cool.
And so I moved up there. So I did a lot of traveling by myself, you know, at the time, and it was fun to start with, but then, you know, it just got really kind of old. You know, you're on the road all the time, you know, same thing.
58.
So for Larry's sake, do you remember was it Mark Zubin who was in the band with you? And
He was in one of them.
Black News also.
He had a real tough guy.
W. Grayson.
He was playing in another band. They were on back roads of Highway 4. And something happened and he fell out of the back of the truck. He was a drummer. Took care of
It's
that.
chicken base.
Tough way to go.
Yeah.
And, you know, I played with Randy Emmerich and Steve Severs at one point, with, you know, before the Yarrow thing. and a guy that went to Monte Vista. And we ended up winning a Battle of the Bands there at San Ramon. And
Wow.
the Suns were playing right after that, so it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, Larry told me, make sure you ask him about that band. The band who played it. I said, there you go, come it.
We actually did pretty well. We got this, joined this talent agency, so they had us playing all over the place. In Navy, Army, Air Force bases. And just,
Really?
we played at this one Navy base / hospital. I think it was in Oakland still. And this guy bet us a pitcher of beer that he could stick his finger up through his second digit in his finger in his eye.
Oh my God.
And then he did.
Oh. You don't have
Oh
it?
my God.
You don't have it or what?
Yeah. Because they have a lot of time in their hand in the military.
Yeah. That's pretty weird.
And I was teaching music both at my dad's store and privately. And then I also taught on over on the island there between San Francisco and Oakland. You know, that was a base. Ended up dating one of the gals there. So that was kind of interesting.
So you keep in touch with any of the old?
Yeah, I still do. Randy ended up killing himself. That was
What's
good.
that?
I say Randy Emmerich killed himself.
Really?
Steve Seamers became a judge.
Wow.
So
Isn't that weird how so many lives go so many different
he
directions?
lives in Montclair, up in the hills there in Oakland. There was Dave Mora and his brothers.
I remember every one of those names.
Yeah. And he had kind of an alcohol problem. He finally got his act together or whatever, and he got into carpentry along with Sean Gallagher, who I played in the band Piaro. And we, Sean and I, and this other bass player, and Greg Lowe, ended up recording with the sax player, who was the keyboard player for Steve Miller's band.
Wow.
So we recorded in his studio, made 3 or 4 cuts there. So that was kind of cool.
So
But those guys were all into carpentry and whatever, which is the farthest thing I wanted to do.
So I was just assuming you play bass.
I played bass for a little while until I ended up teaching the guys the guitar part. So then I switched to guitar and keyboard.
Right. So when you
I mean, I
play,
originally was a keyboard player. You know, my
I thought
parents,
you were originally a bass
Yeah.
player.
well, I was, and then, but I ended up switching. I mean, I still play bass and record whatever the call for. Matter of fact, I got a gig tomorrow. I have to be in L.A. at something like 8:30, 9 o'clock to record.
You know, in the morning.
Yeah, but yeah. So I've got 68 guitars, including basses.
Wow.
You know, and a bunch of
Wow.
tube amps and what have you, and probably about 12 keyboards, so a bunch of recording stuff. I sold my, so I was living in Moore Park, which is the next town west of here, for about 20 years when I came back from Texas. And after the divorce, I ended up at my mom's place there in this gated community here in Simi up in the hill, and lived there last year. And I sold the place to my son because he needed a bigger place. I moved it temporarily into an apartment so I could stash some dough away from the house, and found a thing through a Section 8, which is a state thing, and Simi Valley pays for half the rent.
Wow.
So it's like $680 I'm paying right now,
Wow.
and so for California that's unheard of.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that temporarily, living in this cracker box, as I want to call it. But it's okay. That's just till I can get past the surgery. I
Yeah.
didn't want to make any decision. And I'm still debating: do I want to stay in California, which is really expensive, or do I want to move out of state? I've got some friends that moved to Idaho and Oklahoma.
That's where I'm going to be looking.
Yeah. So the area was Nampa, Southwest. Great place.
Actually,
It's about 7 miles from Boise.
oh, okay. Actually, when I get done with this road trip, because when I get done, I'm going to Phoenix and to Vegas, and Vegas up to Reno and Tahoe,
There you go.
and back to Redding. And then we have what we call Cool April Nights up in Redding, where they get all these old cars and stuff.
They had that in Reno.
Yeah, that's called Hot August.
I was there then. And my wife's sister's daughter married highfalutin family. I don't want to use the term mafia, but anyways, and they owned a pepper mill.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah, so I get up. So go ahead.
Was that, did they live in Danville?
I don't know where they did. My wife's family was from Concord, but anyways, these guys ended up they were into real estate, and anyways, the father ended up. I went to a wedding of theirs, which was in San Francisco at like the Marcotte or something ridiculous. It was like $3 or $4 million wedding, gold, silverware, and it was. And there was one table they told us not to approach. These guys, in pinstripe suits and hats were sitting at this one table, so it was like the dawn of somebody. And here I am being a wise ass, and I go out to smoke a cigar. And I'm out on the side with my brother-in-law, and these guys are kind of hitting this piano on the side. And I said something, whatever. They're these big-ass guys. They just kind of look at it like, well, never mind. Let's go. Kind of guard the entrance.
That's the reason I was saying, my brother-in-law's, I think it was my brother-in-law's nephew married somebody up there that owns the pepper mill.
Oh.
And that's why, and he went to the wedding in San Francisco, and I'm wondering if there isn't kind of a relationship.
Well, it could be.
Taco enchilada?
Right here.
Plate, if you will.
Okay.
Steak a la diablo.
Yeah, thank you.
¿Quieres relleno?
Right here.
Big one. And tortillas.
Right.
And yes.
So, anyways, I ended up in Reno, and it started snowing, and they shut down Highway 80 and 50 and whatever. I was stuck up there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good, thank you. So I'm calling my wife, and I'm going, you should be up here, and I'm watching the hookers coming in from my window. Anyways, they said they were booked up, and I said, well, my relative is so-and-so, whatever. And he said, well, hang on a second. Next thing came back, they put me in the president's suite.
Wow.
And that's when I called my wife and said, you should be here. And there was like mirrors, and it was like almost like a swimming pool hot tub. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Okay, thank you.
There was like, heavy velvet, this, and it was real Italian looking kind of thing.
Wow.
But it was that was pretty cool.
Wow.
But I was stuck there for 3 days.
Sounds like there's a connection there. And I know Gary, my brother-in-law, he said that they went to that wedding and it was like unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the guy's name. He's from a huge contractor in our Danville area and stuff. And he lives up, there's a mansion way up on the hill. No.
All I know is they're really their main thing was Highway 4. All the areas all the way down to Antioch were all homes that they built.
Yeah.
That one something bay that come over the hill from Concord, whatever that.
Bay Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicken tacos. Thank you, sir. Can I take this? Thank you.
So touring with Boss with Dan Morrison did it pay very well.
Yeah.
Ya lo viste.
It's like $3 or $4 grand a month, and it varied and whatever. He had LA studio guys on all the albums, wherever they were, other than a couple of tracks I got on. But that's okay. I just making it up. We got on one which was live in San Francisco, I think it was called. But it was fun. Early days, he was a heavy drinker.
Oh, yeah.
He was kind of like abusing his wife, and that was kind of tough.
Wow.
As they say, nobody's perfect, but so we had to kind of deal with that kind of thing. He finally got himself together. He had a daughter who turned out to have just a fantastic voice.
Oh, yeah.
And she got on a few of his albums in the 90s, early 2000s.
Did you ever do any albums with him?
Well, that one that live in San Francisco.
Oh.
But it was, he had his road band, and he hired thugs, to get the cream from,
Yeah.
There's this thing called the Wrecking Crew,
Are you done with the salad?
Yeah. Thank you.
which is top guys from LA. And they back like the Beach Boys and everybody. Michael Jackson or whatever. The Monkees. It was all those guys. It was all those guys. Just Wrecking Crew.
Oh, okay.
There's you can go on Netflix. They have a thing called the Wrecking Crew. You can watch out what their whole thing is.
Oh, really? I'll have to
Yeah.
watch that.
And this drummer Hal Blaine, who's really good. Glenn Campbell was part of it.
Yeah.
Glenn Campbell was a studio guy forever.
He was a hell of a guitar player.
But he was a studio guy forever before he decided to branch out into his own thing.
So did you get a chance to meet a lot of these people, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I met them all. And again, they're just getting these people,
Yeah. It's a different world, huh?
Everything okay, señores?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, real good.
You put steak in a bowl. Is that what they do?
No. I don't think.
Oh, there's the steak.
Yeah,
I was looking at it. What is that? I didn't see
I
that.
think this is a bean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, every time Boss Skaggs plays arena or ready, we always got tickets and went.
That's us. Okay.
What happened was Yarrow band opened for Boz in San Rafael, whatever auditorium or whatever. And they were running late, and the guitar player didn't show up. Well, that's basically where pot was real prevalent, and the guitar player was outselling it and whatever. He didn't show up. So I told him, I said, hey, I know the tunes. Why don't we let's just play and I'll play it.
How cool is
Next thing
that?
you know, that's how I got in.
How long did you tour with him?
2 years.
Wow. I really love his music.
He owned a club, or still does, called Slim's in San Francisco.
Oh, he does.
I heard they tore down Pier 39. Got all the restaurants are gone, which is just a shame.
Oh, did they?
They're all gone.
I knew they did something down
They're
there.
going to do something, but
Well, they built the stadium for the Warriors
well,
down there.
all I know is politics are kind of weird.
Yep.
Just like the fire here, Southern
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
That was all pre-planned.
Think so?
Oh yeah. They have this thing, this HARP thing that's up in Alaska to control the weather. It was zapping, and he did the same thing in Hawaii. Wiped out Lahaina.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be built with it's all money. You know? It's just so corrupt. So they're planning on getting all this stuff, and they want to build like another little amusement kind of thing in that area before the Olympics in 2028. It's corrupt.
Well, especially California.
I just like to see if I can talk to
So, you remember Mike Farwell? The Mike passed away.
I was going to ask about him. We were all in that boys cooking class.
He was he got into the drugs. Well, we all did. You know,
Well, yeah,
but he,
that was mandatory, I think.
yeah, it was mandatory, but he kept going and
He went south.
hit it really hard.
Oh, that's a shame.
Between alcohol and drugs, it took him down when he was in his 40s.
Did it take him out? Oh, that's a shame.
Master ran into his wife. He kind of keep in touch a little bit.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
was concerned about Dave Moore because of his drinking, but luckily he was turning it around to save his life. He was a real nasty guy.
I ran into Mike's wife and we were talking to her, my wife and I, and she goes, you know, John, if I would have thought I was going to live this long,
Oh,
I would have done it totally different.
oh,
I mean, I always kept thinking, man, I'll be gone when I'm 30, you know, before I'm 30.
yeah.
Then it was like, I think I'll be gone before I'm 40, and then it was 50, and then it's like, what the hell?
I know. Yeah, you've got to, you've got to enjoy your life while you can. You never know what's going to happen. You know?
I help Tom Fitness visualize because I'm really like nobody knows what to do about it. Just trying to talk everything.
So you have a couple of daughters.
I got a son and 2 daughters.
There we go.
My son lives in Pennsylvania.
Well, I remember seeing pictures of, I guess, your 2 daughters.
Yeah, my daughters are really pretty. My one daughter got her master's in social. She's a social worker.
Okay.
What I'm trying to say is
And then my my oldest daughter worked at Rayleigh's for the last 20 years.
Okay.
I have a red blood. And my youngest daughter's got 2, my grandson and my granddaughter, and then
Oh, that's cool.
then my older daughter has my 3 granddaughters, and then my one granddaughter has had 3 babies, so I got 3 great grandkids. My son in Pennsylvania, now the ones in Pennsylvania are all adopted, but he's got 9 grandkids for me, and then another 2 great grandkids. So people will say, how many grandkids you got?
I forgot.
I don't have a calculator. I can't add it all. I haven't even met several of them from back in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
But I'm actually going back there this summer.
well, that's good.
Can't we translate that?
Yeah, we're originally from Chicago.
What? I didn't know that.
My parents were from Columbus, Ohio, and my dad worked for a company called Lion and Healy, who also became famous for making harps.
Oh,
Anyways, they were the largest music chain in the Midwest through the 50s and 60s, maybe even 40s. They offered my dad a job to go to Chicago and manage a store there. And so, he eventually got married to my mom, who I think worked in the sheet music department or something. She's Italian. He's Scots-Irish. And so, anyways, next thing you know, my brother and I are born in Chicago. And I don't know, I was like in 6th, 7th grade when we moved to Southern California, Van Nuys. Which, by the way, is where the Jewish discovered that when they came over the mountains and went, Van Nuys.
So,
Thought I'd throw that in. So anyway, so I was there for till 65, and we moved up to Allen. So that's how the Northern California thing kicked in.
this is the first time I've been to Simi Valley. I got to tell you, I really like it. It's really nice out here.
It's a nice area. The weather is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just remember like New Year's Eve and whatever. We had our house in Pleasant Hill. It was just colder than witches. It was so cold. Up there, but that's what it was. You were used to it, But Southern California is a whole different ballgame. Once you get past the freeways and whatever, there's a lot of people, but there's a reason why. It's like paradise, the weather down here.
Yeah, I get it. Pretty much everything under the sun down here. I mean,
within 2 hours, you can do everything from snow skiing
and the
light
food,
skiing.
some of the food down here is phenomenal.
Oh, it is. It is.
I'm still working.
Anyways, a couple of my friends, Christy Emmerich, remarried, and her ex, they both live up in. That's great. What's the area? Not Livingston. I'm trying to think of the area. It's off of 50 from Grass Valley and that area up there. It was like in a it was like a Del Webb, some kind of a dolphin. So I'll talk to them in a while. I need to call them back. The other gal I was in class with was this gal, Marie, I want to say Klesko or something was her name. She was a year younger. And Christy Lawrence was in the same class, like a math class or something. And she ended up marrying a friend of mine who was like managing the band and creating all sorts of, mixers and stuff for us. He was smart. And Craig Jordan, we call him Flash Jordan. Anyways, he went to work at Siemens. He was a really smart guy. He ended up inventing a camera that marks the blood cell glue into the heart.
Wow.
So he retired.
I bet you did.
Really well. And they got a place, and then Marie eventually, she She played in the band with the sax player. They were married and then they divorced. Anyway, she ended up hooking up with Craig. And they moved up to this town that was 3 miles from the Canadian border in Washington.
Oh. You know what town it was? Not Chelan, was it?
I couldn't tell you now.
Dave and I hiked those mountains. They were right there next to the Canadian border.
I just remember there was a town down the hill from where they were. And the next hill was Canada.
What was which one?
I just don't know. Anyways, my friend Craig passed away Thanksgiving Day. He had a lot of problems in 2012, heartbreaking or whatever. So I talked to her about once a week how she's doing.
And a water with a straw, please. Give us a couple minutes.
It's good to try to stay in touch.
Well, you know, it's still a pretty small community. You put it where you. I see all these things like San Ramon T-shirts, you know, with the class of whatever.
Thank you.
I missed most of the dances and all the activity because my band was playing for other schools.
Yeah.
We played them all, you know.
So did you move to Alamo? Were you in high school then?
No, when we were 65, we moved from Van Nuys to Alamo.
So did you go to junior high in Danville? Or Alamo?
Yeah, I went to,
Charlotte Wood?
no, I went to Stone Valley.
Oh, no.
And that's where I met a couple friends that ended up in Monte Vista or whatever.
Yeah, I went to Charlotte Wood.
Yeah.
They just opened Monte Vista that first year that I got out at Charlotte Wood. Well, probably for you too. And they opened up that high school. So half of the people that I knew went up there, and the other half went to San Ramon.
And I played JV football. I was one of the small guys
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
with my friend Gary Ardiaco.
Gosh, I remember all of them.
And
I know you were very careful.
Gary lived right across the highway from San Ramon Highway, really close. Anyway, we were two small guys, and a guy named Dan Sherman, the other guy. And, anyways, what's his name? Wilkerson or something, the coach. Anyways, he ended up becoming principal of Monte Vista.
Right.
My football coach.
No, I don't need it. No problem.
And then I just remember all of a sudden at the Alamo exit, all the building that was going on. It was awful. Let alone, you know, heading all the way to Blackhawk. But it was just awful. You know, I mean, it wasn't the same. You know.
Well, when we were in high school, my dad would have a rototiller and a tractor.
Yeah.
And I was like 16, and he goes, well, my dad was from Wyoming and in the Navy and all that stuff during World War II. He was just kind of like screwy. He goes, get on the tractor, I want you to drive the one that freight. I said, Dad, I don't have a license. He goes, I don't care, I'll follow you behind.
We had behind our house 4 or 5 acres of walnut trees.
Mm-hmm.
So we would pick all those and take them to the place in Walnut Creek for they had a warehouse there. You know, I just remember that my hands were just so fucked up with the black, green, whatever.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we made some dough on the deal, but it was, I just remember all the people have no idea the walnut festival, all that shit. I remember there was a place called Jolly's Burgers. It was on Unesco, up a couple of miles off the main. And we were high as a kite. This guy Dave DeLong and I and Steve Seamers and all those people. we're standing in line looking at the thing to order, and my friend Steve goes, we were just so bummed out. So anyway, I just remember, and this guy comes out of the crowd from nowhere, helps Steve up, and goes, "It's a hot day, Walnut Festival, all this jazz, and it was just overwhelming." We go, "Yeah, that's what happened."
That's what it was. Yeah, it was indeed. That's what
So
it
we
was.
got our food, got the hell out of there. Go, what just happened? The other thing we used to do is we'd drop acid or something, and we would go out.
Here I am. I made it to Simi Valley. Had a really, so far it's been an incredible trip. That last part was a little bit of a drive, but that's all right. And I got to tell you, that hotel I stayed in King City last night, and it was quite the flea bag. Anyway, said it came with a continental breakfast, and there was toast. Not much of a continental breakfast as far as I'm concerned, but that's what it was. Anyway, so tonight's going to be it's going to be really cool. I get to see a friend of mine that I haven't seen since high school. Last time I saw him, we were in high school together a few years ago. Not a lot, but a few. But anyway, he's lived up here down here in Southern California for all these years, and I'm really looking forward to picking his brain. I know he's a musician. I don't know if he made a living being a musician, but it's going to be fun to pick his brain. So looking forward to this tonight. This ought to be really, really fun. So anyway, until then. So here we are, day 2 in Simi Valley. Had a great time with my buddy Tom Kennard last night. Amazing. Talked about his life in music. He toured with Van Morrison for like 14 years. He toured with Boz Scaggs for 2 years. He's got an incredible story to tell. I recorded it last night, but I didn't have the microphones and it really didn't come out well. I'm going to try to see what I can save out of that, but also we're going to try, I'm meeting up today. We're going to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, which ought to be really interesting. And then, I'm going to see, maybe we'll do another interview and see where that goes, see where that all leads today. But interesting day, man, interesting time, great trip. I'm telling you, people in my lives, man, have been incredible. I've just got so many people and so many things to be thankful for. And my friendship with all these people is amazing, so anyway, keep the faith. Love you guys. God bless. I will see you next as soon as I record something else. Goodbye. So Tom, tell the camera where we're at.
Yo mama.
Your mama.
That's where we're at. Reagan Library.
How
top
cool.
of the hill, Simi Valley.
How cool is this? How cool is that?
Yeah, my mom got to sit right behind her at the funeral.
Oh, she did?
So that was kind of a cool thing.
Your mom was at the funeral?
Yeah,
Is that what
she
you said?
worked here
Oh my gosh.
for quite a few years.
Man, you just keep blowing me away with all this stuff.